I saw this the other day. Nudity may be featured in Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV series. There is no curse in Elvish, Intish, or the tongues of men for this treachery. Here we go again with Amazon messing with Middle-earth. First, it was a diversity casting calls, trying to make the Númenóreans and the elves non-white, which they clearly are not in the books. I went over this in my previous video, but just to make this clear, the elves are white. The men are white. The dwarves are white. They're all white. I know everyone's on this diversity kick, and the series is being shot in New Zealand, and there are a lot of Maori actors there, but no. If you want non-white actors to portray the Harad, that's fine. But no, there shouldn't be a single elf or Númenórean who has brown skin. It's not in the books, so don't put it there. But these people can't leave well enough alone. They're still messing with it. According to Night Edge Media, there's going to be nudity in the Amazon Lord of the Rings show. Quote, now recently longtime Lord of the Rings fan site, theonering.net, revealed that a new casting call is going out for Amazon's Lord of the Rings series by BGT Casting. The casting call mentions actors must be comfortable with nudity. And do you know what this fan says to that? Ish kakfe, I do durug nul. What are you doing? Dude, this is Lord of the Rings, not Game of Thrones. Everybody likes a little bit of titty, but this ain't the show for that. Respect the lore. Respect the tone of the lore. Even if you don't like what Peter Jackson did with The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, he still respected the stories and their tone. The Hobbit is actually a silly story. The Lord of the Rings is very serious. The films play out the same way. Why come in and change that? Oh, but it gets worse. Quote, now we at Night Edge Media have discovered that the series may indeed feature sexual scenes between characters. Recently, New Zealand native Jennifer Ward Leland has been hired on multiple local shows and films as an intimacy coordinator. An intimacy coordinator is a staff member who ensures the well-being of actors who participate in sex scenes or other intimate scenes in theater, film, and television production. The crew member has revealed via her official website that she has been hired as an intimacy coordinator on Amazon's UAP. Last year we revealed that UAP would be the working title for the Lord of the Rings series throughout production in New Zealand.
Stupid work, Amazon! You ruins it!
What are you doing? Why? Why do you need sex scenes for the show? Listen, this ain't Game of Thrones. Don't try to turn Middle-earth into a lame knockoff of Westeros. Hell, to be perfectly honest, I'm not happy with the concept of the show to begin with, because it's not based on anything from the books. It looks like it's just a bunch of writers who've probably not even watched the films, using Middle-earth as a backdrop of the fantasy story no one would have greenlit if it wasn't attached to an established property. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Hollywood is terrified of new, untested ideas, so God forbid someone come up with an original concept. They'll reject that in a heartbeat, so we end up with people using existing franchises as a veil to cast over their real story that has absolutely nothing to do with the original concept, and this usually doesn't work out well. Just look at Watchmen. It would be better if this were at least fan fiction, but it doesn't even seem to be that. The last thing I want to see is some woke version of Lord of the Rings pissing all over Tolkien's legacy. Respect the work. Respect the author. Don't turn this into Amazon's sad attempt at banking on Game of Thrones, especially considering how that crashed and burned, and that there's so much material Tolkien actually provided for you to work with. I already saw where this weird attempt at creating new Middle-earth lore goes. It's called Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, and while they're fun to play, they're wrong. They're wrong on every level, and that's before we get to the black dude and a woman being the captain in Gondor. You've got Celebrimbor turning into a Dark Lord and making a ring of power for his own. The elf who was never prideful or selfish. The elf who was the mirror opposite of Feanor. That's the guy you turn into a wannabe Sauron. Come on. Let's not do that. Use what Tolkien wrote. You've got a ton to work with. Respect the lore. It's not that hard. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.